Fox2 News is booking for you. Live at 11 starts now.
It's a topic that's very hard to talk about, but one that's very important to prepare for. The death of your husband. Beyond the grief and the loss, many widows face financial hardships, very serious ones. Now a local author wants to prepare you no matter what your age. Dan Casey, an independent financial advisor, has written a new book. It's called Forget the Casserole. Help Me Deal, Heal, and Live. Your guide to living after the death of your husband. And this morning, Dan Casey joins us live in studio. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
This is something that many women don't want to think about, much less talk about.
Absolutely.
It's a very emotional issue.
Absolutely. It's, and it's one, obviously, that a lot of women aren't prepared for. And, unfortunately, not to generalize, but most of the husbands are the ones that handle the finances. So they're all of a sudden stuck with something that they've never dealt with before, along with the other issues.
Sure, a lot of women don't even know where the accounts are.
Absolutely.
Who's handling it?
Absolutely. And that's why it's in the book. It's nice. It really details a lot of the things that you really need to be aware of. Because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So the list helps you really get to the point of what really you need to focus on.
Yeah, I love the title, by the way. Forget the casserole, because of course there's emotional support there. But this is finances. This is something that can really make a big difference. In fact, I was amazed. I want to bring this up. Here's a statistic. In 2000, the year 2000, 17% of widowed women aged 65 or older had incomes less than the federal poverty level, and that compares to just 4% of married women with a spouse. So
exactly.
Serious.
And like we were saying, that's the big motivation why I wrote the book. Because in doing research for the book, I came across that statistic, and it really surprised me. And then along with just the fact that there is a really big financial void in the financial industry when it comes to widows. So those two reasons right there is why I think it just, over time, I've worked with more and more widows, and it's really because there is that void and there is that problem when the husband dies.
Sure. Well, let's give some advice then. What do you think women should start doing, and when should they start doing it?
It's always, obviously, planning is always the key before their husband dies, obviously. So, but I've ran into many widows that obviously haven't had the time to do that or whatever. So after, really, the main thing they need to do is look at maybe some of the checklists that I have in the book. There's the short-term goals, the long-term goals, and because they're filled with such overwhelming clutter at that time in their life, it's really important to know what can I hold off and what do I have to deal with right now. Right.
You say you want to preserve your assets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of things that I do in my practice also is we go through the fact of when you're retired or when you lose your husband, you may want to at that point shift a lot of your risk to somebody else, like an insurance company or like mutual funds where you're not in individual stocks, things like that. So there's strategies like that. There's strategies to if your husband had a 401k plan at their employer. There's a lot of rules changing. Bush changed a lot of the rules last year. So there's some tricky things there too that you really need to keep your eye on.
Right. Also, you want to reduce taxes and increase your earnings.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's key too. When your husband dies, you really do need to quickly examine where your income's coming from, because that can change when your husband dies depending on the pensions, rules like that. So it's really important to look at where your income's coming from, because that may need to be shifted.
And you recommend that women start doing this really in their 50s, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if not sooner. There's a lot of younger widows and older widows obviously share a lot of the same problems, but definitely, yeah, when you get into that.
And you can't depend on Social Security.
No, unfortunately, no, not anymore. And even pensions, it's a scary thing. Those are going away, quickly. So it's really important, yeah, to not rely so heavily on those particular.
Okay, very helpful advice. Forget the casserole. Help me deal, heal, and live. The book's about $15. You can find a link to Dan Casey's website by logging onto our website, myfoxdetroit.com. Dan, thanks so much for talking to us.